What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Alchemy Pay today, ACH USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are. About 7 hours left in this day, 7 hours left in this week, and Alchemy Pay is up 24% overall from the beginning to the end of this week. Very, very nice behavior. It's very reminiscent of what we did the last time we were down in these areas, right? Whenever we were here, we found support and we moved up. I mean, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks later, we were all the way up at about 5 cents. And here we are right now at 1.1 cents. I mean, we could be on a journey right now that takes us there and even beyond. Okay. We're going to go over a few different things on the long-term stuff, and in fact, I think maybe we should just focus on that. I want to look at the short-term stuff too, but we'll do that after this. So, for a long time, we were assuming, and I was assuming, that we were in an accumulative phase with Alchemy Pay, that we were in some kind of phase that would end up breaking us to the upside. Maybe we would have, maybe we were always destined to come down, I don't know. But then October 10th happened, and well, it's been a real shitfest ever since then, right? Fortunately enough, for Alchemy Pay, we do have a very powerful pattern here, which is called a double bottom. No, I do not consider this a triple bottom. I don't consider this a low. I think it's just these two areas, not this one, that should be counted in this double bottom endeavor. I think that's fake price action. But inevitably we went down to this area nonetheless. And a double bottom is a very powerful signal, my friends. It's very powerful. And we're showing the exact kind of reaction that you want to see to validate that this is a double bottom. Now, technically, everything's different. And this is so far spread apart. Technically, if you have a double bottom, right, like you're coming down, boom, you get a double bottom like this, or maybe it's, like this, however it is, there's always some kind of central peak. Your double bottom is not technically validated until you get above that nipple, until you get above that central peak there. Ours is up here, and it's just so far spread out. I don't know. Like I feel like with a how much is this so far? From a low to where we are now, I feel like with a 50% pump, that's double bottom territory in my opinion. But technically, it's not a double bottom until we get above these central points up here above like 5 cents. So technically, but if it is a double bottom, and if we do go up above these areas, we should have no problem sending it even to new all-time highs after we get above this 5.1, 5.2 cent area. It looks pretty good, guys. At the lows, you had a very small green week. Last week you had a pretty decent one, 12% up. That's nice. This week it's only getting bigger. That's good behavior. That's what you want to see. It's exactly what you want to see. And we've seen these moments where Alchemy Pay has grown at consistent rates for over a month, various times throughout this range. Now we're here all the way at the double bottom. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we were moving all the way up to this area here where we last found support, somewhere around 1.65 cents or higher. If we look at this here from a high to a low, the expectation there would be that, yeah, we do go to the 382. That's the expectation. I don't typically expect that you find turbulence at the 236, or if you do, it's so short-lived that it doesn't really matter. It's like, I don't know, be like this, right? Like we found resistance at the 236, but it didn't matter. We kept moving up. I don't know if that was the 236, but I'm just saying in that same kind of context, maybe we find some turbulence here, but we'll probably move up. I would think that we consistently move up till we are right at or just above this yellow line, the 382. Take out the white line here till we're just above there, which again, that white line is right at this point of support. The yellow line is the 382. It's very common with the 382 to wick just above the 382 and then close below it. So something around 1.6 cents, 1.8 cents, around there. We'll find turbulence, find resistance, consolidate, do our thing, and then continue to build from there, right? That's the idea. I think maybe by the end of Q1, we could be at prices as high as 2.6 to 3 cents, or maybe even higher. Q2 comes along, we probably are pushing the upper limits of this area. If not, if we're there by the end of Q1, that's great. Because I still do expect Q2 to be bullish. But when we break above these areas, whenever that is, Q1, Q2, Q7, I don't know. Whenever we break above these highs, the next area that we're focusing on is 10 cents to 21 cents. And I very much do believe Alchemy Pay will make its way up there in time. It's just when is the question. So that's far away. We've got a lot of steps to complete before we get there. The first thing that we need to do, I think, is get to this 382, so something above 1.6234 cents. We get above there. we'll gauge ourselves from there and see if we look like we want to continue, or if that was just a lower high of which we pull back from. We'll see. I think that we will continue. I think we will pass and continue to pump. This double bottom, I don't think is any kind of thing to take lightly, but we should still keep our wits about us, even with that perspective in mind. Looking at this on the 1 hour time frame here, very nice consistent move up, getting a little bit of a push here. I want to look at you with some volume. Yeah, getting a little bit of volume. That's nice to see. RSI looks really good here. So do the stochastics, and so does the MACD. We look at the 4 hour time frame, and the RSI is bullish here. The stochastics are bullish, and the MACD is bullish as well. No signs of weakness, at least not in my opinion. But you're overbought. Yeah, but that's, you want to be overbought. You do your best work when you're overbought. Imagine if you sold because you got overbought. As soon as you got overbought here, you would have sold down here. You would have missed this whole move. Your RSI, your stochastics, everything was overbought. More overbought than it is now, and you still moved up all this way. You know what I mean? Like, don't get caught up in the short stuff, the small stuff. It's the relative strength index. So whenever you move up like this consistently, you don't need a lot of downside to pull the RSI back and cool off. We've cooled off. You've gotten lower lows this whole time with higher lows. It's hidden bullish divergence. That's the definition of cooling off. You've broken out of the lower high trend that you established here. You're moving up higher. I mean, I would say that you are literally fine. If anybody's looking at this and saying, but you're overbought, that means you're going to come down. That's not right. Again, you were overbought back here. If you sold here, how did that work out for you? You know, maybe if you sold this high and you bought that low, but is a 3% move, is it worth that? I mean, maybe it's worth it to some people depending on your leverage and stuff, but I can't imagine people are high leverage trading Alchemy Pay. It's just spot positions or algos. Anyways, 4 hour time frame looks bullish. 1 hour time frame looks bullish. Daily time frame looks bullish. There is a little bit of bearish divergence there, a little bit at the moment. But if we close here or higher, I guess actually, technically there's no bearish divergence at the moment. If we close here or higher, there is no bearish divergence. Same thing on the stochastics and the MACD. And we're about to cross above the zero on the MACD. There's very little doubt in my head that we do not stop here and that we do continue to move up. I very much do believe that we move up higher. Nothing really to go off of with the MACD. That's okay. Not a whole lot to go off with the stochastics. You're about to cross out of the oversold zone. That's nice. Same thing with the RSI. Not a whole lot to go off of, but I do think all of these are postured. I mean, they're low enough to where you do have some give to the upside. And a very standard retracement would take us to the 382, which again is at 1.615 cents. Typically, you don't stop at the 382. You wick a little bit above there, so we should have like a 40 to 50%, probably closer to 50% pump coming in over the next 7 days. I mean, this week was small. This week was bigger. This week was bigger. This next week might be even bigger, and this could be the week. You know, sometime by the end of this month, I would expect that we were up at this area. What we do after that determines if we continue to climb. We don't have to stop here, but it just seems like a very obvious area, so that's what I'm calling for. I don't really have anything else that I want to say. It's been a while since we've talked about Alchemy Pay, so we can talk about like all-time highs and stuff like that, where I think we'll be by the end of this cycle. Let's talk about that, just so we're all on the same page, or you know where my head's at with this. If Alchemy Pay broke out of this, right? If we broke out of this to the downside and the rest of the market was pumping, we would give up on Alchemy Pay. There'd be no reason to focus on it right now. You know, I'd make a video saying, yeah, we should have never talked about this. It was a good project. It had good promise, but that's not all. You know, you need a following. You need people to invest in you, and they just didn't have that. But that's not what happened, right? The rest of the market did not pump. The whole damn market dumped. The whole sector that is crypto dumped. Everything. Everything literally dumped. Besides Zcash and Dash for a brief time, but even they dumped afterwards. So breaking out of this pattern and coming back to find a double bottom, I'm not going to deduct points for that, right? I don't think that that's a problem. It's not ideal, of course. We'd rather move up than move down, but this is not a problem. This is not detrimental. When the markets come back to life, I would assume Alchemy Pay is part of that life-giving process, and we probably do see higher highs. In time, by the end of this cycle, I would expect that we do see anything from a 42 cent to a $1.30 in price for Alchemy Pay, and it's completely possible that we see something more. There's a lot of variables at play between now and the coming 3 months that we have that could really change how high or low we go by the end of this cycle. $100 million is not a small amount of money, but that's not a lot of money in crypto, right? $50 billion, $20 billion above that, that's a lot of money in crypto. but 100 million is not that much. To get to $20 billion from here, that would be a 200x. And 20 billion is pretty achievable. Because a 100x, a 10x would take you to 1 billion. Oh my god. Wait, did I do that right? Yeah, 1 billion. A 10x would take you to 1 billion, a 100x would take you to 10 billion, 200x would take you to 20 billion. So yeah. So 200x is possible. A 400x is possible. You could see, I mean, if this thing gains enough traction, if the momentum is right, and this is like the next big thing and everybody utilizes it, there's some kind of huge catalyst that happens, you could see a 40, 60 billion dollar market cap, no problem. Probably not higher than 60, probably not higher than 80. I mean, maybe you go higher, but I would think, again, somewhere in that let's even be conservative, let's say like that 10 to 60 billion dollar range. It's a big range, but that's, I think any and all of those are viable options. So Alchemy Pay has a lot of potential here. Maybe it doesn't achieve that potential. Maybe we get something lesser. But even something lesser, from the current price, the minimum target's the 1272. That's a 30-something x, 38x. I expect the average altcoin to do about a 30x between now and the end of the cycle. So that's still outperforming the average coins, at least from the current price. The 1414, which I think is a very acceptable target, is at 67 cents, and typically you wick just above that. Maybe you go to $1. You find resistance there. That's an 80x. The golden ratio at $1.30, pretty possible, honestly. 111, 112x. Maybe you push higher. I mean, $3 is a possibility. That doesn't mean it will happen, but it's a possibility. It's something that we should at least consider. So as far as where my mind is, as far as what Alchemy Pay can do by the end of this cycle, it's a pretty open book, where the beginning is here, the middle is like somewhere in here, and the ending is maybe up here, right? Like this is our ending zone. The rest is just potential and probability, I would say even. Probably we stop somewhere around $1, give or take, just a little bit below or just a little bit above. That's my thoughts by the end of this cycle. But we could see multiple dollars. Maybe we don't even get to 50 cents. Anything and everything's possible, but I do believe we'll see new all-time highs. These are your given targets, and they become virtually inevitable once you get above this level here. Once you get above like that 6 cent, 5.5 cent area, whatever it is there. When you get above these highs, these targets become literally inevitable. I say these targets, not all of them. I guess technically this zone. So you would at least, this target would then technically be inevitable, but these targets would go up a lot in statistical probability. Anyways, enough of the semantics. I think I've said everything I need to say. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Shout out to Fonzie. Hey, hope you're watching this, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. I know that it's been a hard time. I know that most people, I mean, even if you killed it and you bought the lows on Alchemy Pay here, you're still hurting right now. But this is an exciting way to start the month. You're bullishly engulfing last month's candle. By the end of this month, you could be bullish engulfing the last 2 months. Hell, you could be bullish engulfing the last quarter of a year if you keep this pace up, honestly. Like if you do exactly what you did in the next 11 days, what you did these 11 days, you're really on track to engulf the last quarter of a year. But I digress. The pain is being felt not just in the Alchemy Pay community. It's being felt all across the crypto space. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you're holding, stacking more, and excited for more price action to come, for higher prices to come. I'm very confident that we go above 1.6 cents in the very near term, probably by the end of this month. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.